and welcome back to another episode of Life Changing Challengers. I'm extremely honored to have Natalie Jurado. Hold on one second. We're going to stop. And we're going to edit that part out. And welcome back to another episode of Life Changing Challengers. I am extremely excited to have Natalie Jurado with us today. She is a magnesium expert, and it's probably not something that we ever heard before. And as she became a magnesium expert, she turned that into her own business. So she is an entrepreneur as well. We've had a lot of those on the show. So Natalie, how are you today?
I am doing fantastic today. Thank you.
I love it. I love it. So I start off the same question with everybody, Natalie. Can you tell us a little bit about your childhood, where you grew up, what was the complement of your family, and what it was like to be Natalie as a kid?
Yeah, absolutely. So I grew up in New York in Long Island, right? And I came from a middle-class America household. It was me, my brother, my two parents. Your traditional household. My parents worked way out in the city. And so I really only got to see them on weekends. They'd leave at 5 a.m. and come home around 8, 9 o'clock at night. So weekends were a time that I could actually spend with my parents. And for the most part, I was raised by my grandmother. So I am a first generation American. My parents are Latino. And so my grandmother didn't speak a lick of English. So actually Spanish was my first language, learning it before I learned English at all. So we had a very interesting childhood in terms of lots of family influence. Several families of us all lived together in the same house. We lived in a 3-family household. So I had my aunt, my cousins, I had my brother, I had my grandmother. All of us grew up together in the same house. And I was the youngest and the only girl. So I grew up to be a bit of a tomboy growing up because I had to keep up with everybody else. So all in all, I had a wonderful childhood. It was definitely no complaints there, other than not being able to see my parents very much. So one day my parents up and realized that they weren't spending much time with us, and they opened up a map and said, Florida looks good. And we wound up moving down to Florida after that, where we were able to spend a lot more time with as a smaller family unit and didn't have so many people in the house with us. So I got to see both sides of what that was like.
Did you take Abuela with you?
Of course,
Right.
she's always been a huge part of my life. She's she was an incredible and amazing strong woman.
Nice. Did she do most of the cooking?
Oh my goodness, the best cooking ever.
That's what I was about to say. I don't know anybody from a Latina family that has that the abuela doesn't have the best cook in the house.
Oh, 100%. Unfortunately, it's not genetic. So while I can cook, there's no way I can cook as well as my mother or my grandmother. So I'm still working on that skill, though. Hopefully one day I'll be able to live in their shoes and live up to the amazing roadmap that they left me.
I have my ancestry is we're all grew up in Judaism, and it's the same thing. It's like, you gotta come and eat. You want some hungry? You hungry? Come on. You gotta eat. You gotta eat. So, and I know it's in that same realm because there's some parallels to it.
100%. And then they try and put more food on your plate. And if you eat too little, it's offensive. So you got to eat a lot, right?
Right. Oh, and 2 hours before dinner, they're like, oh, you should have a snack. You gotta have a snack. Come on, give me a snack. 89 minutes before dinner, don't you eat that. You're gonna spoil your dinner. Oh, I get it.
Completely agree.
So you moved to Florida, I'm assuming, where you are right now, or was it somewhere else?
Nope, we moved similar to the area. I've stayed in Central Florida since then. So we moved to Florida. When my parents lived in New York, they were big time execs. So management, making hundreds of thousands of dollars a year back in the 80s. So I'm aging myself by saying it's the 80s, but back in the 80s. So they're making all this money, and they just moved down here on a whim without a job or a plan. And it was a big socioeconomic shift for us, moving from having everything to coming down here. And my parents couldn't find a job for years. I mean, they did find a job, but not in their field for a few years. Our area was really up and coming. There wasn't a lot of development in our area. And so they went from working these executive positions to my mom took a job as a secretary. My dad was working at the movie theater. And they really, and there was a lot of cultural issues that we faced when we moved down here as well that we did not face in New York. So we really had a huge economic shift But I learned so much from that has really shaped my thoughts about money and wealth and success, even as an adult.
I can imagine. And all of a sudden, money doesn't seem to be as important, especially since you said they were these high power execs and they literally moved you so they could spend more time with you, which I say thumbs up. Those are the parents we need nowadays. So is that where you went to high school?
Yep, I went to high school right here in Central Florida.
Nice. Were you in extracurriculars? Were you a good student? Were you prom queen?
Yeah, so I not prom
And
queen.
you were prom queen. Okay.
No, not even close. I was always academic. I was very, very driven academically, especially through high school, graduated top of my class, wound up getting a scholarship to college and becoming the first in my family to ever go to college. And when I say first in my family, I don't mean just my parents and my brother. I mean, out of the 35 cousins that I have, I am the first to go to college and then the first to go on and get advanced degrees. So it was really a big deal that I was able to go to college, and I had to learn what you needed to do, how to get there, how to fill out a college application, how to apply for scholarships. I was winging it the whole time.
Right.
It all worked out pretty well. But in terms of high school, I was involved in lots of clubs and organizations and that kind of stuff. But I never really felt like I fit in. I went to a high school that was in a wealthier part of town and was not very diverse at all. And so I stuck out like a sore thumb. So when I left high school, went to college, I was able to find more people like me and really make a place for myself in this world. But it really helped me become very resilient and to be very patient with people and understanding with people anytime I can.
You didn't end up going to UCF?
I wound up going to Rollins.
Rollins, where's that?
It's in Winter Park. It's a private liberal arts school.
All right. No, nothing wrong with that. Sometimes those are harder. And because you got smaller classes and you get more focus on you. So you do something wrong or you make a mistake and you're getting called out for it.
100%. Yeah, oh, yeah.
Not like, right. Not like me where I was in a crowd of 300 people in a lecture hall.
Did you wind up going to USF?
No. Oh, I went to ISU, Illinois State University. I grew up in Chicago, so that was just a normal thing, and then spent some time at the University of Illinois. So what did you study in school at Rollins?
I switched my major 6 different times, so I just couldn't figure out what I wanted to do.
The average freshman changes their major 7 times, so you're still above the average.
Winning, that's awesome. So yeah, I switched 6 different times and I finally landed on psychology because that's where I wound up. And I wound up working in nonprofits when I got out. So my passion has always been for working with teenagers. And that's where that was when I did my internships all throughout college. And when I first got out, I was just gravitated towards teenagers. I'm like, I feel like I can make a difference with this population. Didn't like working with little kids, was not working with adults, but teenagers is where I felt comfortable. And I was able to take that career and work in nonprofits. I worked in the juvenile justice system. I worked in social work. I worked with low-income first-generation teenagers to help them get into college through some grant-funded programs. So that was my background. That was my passion for many years until I had children. And then, yeah, working those 365, 24/7 social work positions are not very effective when you have children to also take care of. So I had to switch it up after that.
You got a taste of what it was like to be your parents.
Exactly.
And be around your kids. Yeah, that makes sense. See, everything comes around. It's all cyclical. So, but you said you had got some advanced degrees. Did you get your advanced degrees after having kids, or did you do right away?
I actually got my master's degree while I was pregnant with my second son. So I work all day, I go to school all night, and I was pregnant, and I actually delivered over Christmas break and then went right back to school afterwards. So I wouldn't miss a beat because I wanted to get through it.
Nice. That's awesome. And what was your advanced degree in?
I have a master's in human resources.
All right. In human resources. Okay, great. And so you had your kids. Well, wait a second. We missed the most important part. Where's Mr. Jurado in all this?
My husband, we've been married 17 years, been together 30. So he was actually my middle school sweetheart. We started dating when I was in middle school. And we've been together for a really long time. So we actually, interesting story, he grew up in New York, in Long Island, and I grew up in the same town, the right next town over, but we never met until we moved down to Florida.
Okay. That is like the epitome of divine intervention, right?
100%. Yeah, absolutely. We were talking one day and we just made that connection that we used to shop in the same grocery stores. We used to go to the same mall. We used to go to the same diner. And we had no idea that we lived right down the block from each other our whole childhood and never met.
Oh my God, that's crazy. It was Long Island, so it was, I don't think it was Did you guys have Dags out there?
Not
The
sure.
Augustino's?
Maybe it's possible. I might not.
Okay, yeah. So that was that back in the 80s that was popular out there, and I only knew that because I spent some time in New York for a little while, and I lived across the street from one, and they always used to have fresh everything, but they used to have 20 packages of ramen for 99 cents where I lived on it. So anyway, all right. So you've got kids.
Yep.
Did you maintain your position at the nonprofits?
I did. I worked through other nonprofits trying to find one that would give me better work-life balance. And while I was raising these kids and trying to do everything, my own health kind of started to suffer. And that's what really made me try and find other ways to support my family that didn't depend so much on traditional medicine. Through this path, I also had gone to school to become an EMT. So I knew a lot about the human body. And then I wound up going to school for clinical aromatherapy. So I got certifications in that. And so I learned so much more and more about nutrition and how it impacts our health. And I thought, we need more of this. Like, I've got to learn more. I've got to jump into this deeper and find out more. And I started really using food as medicine in our household. And so as I started going through that, I thought, I need to devote more time to this. And I wound up leaving nonprofit and actually opening up a retail store right in my own neighborhood. I thought our area had very little access to healthy options. And I thought people can only go to the farmer's market on Saturday to get more healthier options. What happens Monday through Friday when they run out of something or they need something? So I saw a problem and I solved it. And I wound up opening a retail store right in our neighborhood to support our community.
Oh, that's amazing. But I want to step back because you mentioned that your health was starting to deteriorate. So let's talk about symptoms and things that you did in order to see what you could do to solve it, but find the diagnosis and then the prognosis.
Yeah. So I found in our household in general, we were all dealing with different issues. My oldest son had terrible asthma. My husband would get sick. Like every 2 months, he would have to take time off work because he would get sick. And I myself was feeling just overly anxious, overwhelmed all the time, irritable, moody, that kind of thing. And it was really impacting how I parented my children. So I started looking into how our diet impacts that. And I noticed that when we ate healthier, we all felt better. I always like to use the analogy of when you drive a car, when you're using gas in the car, it runs. But when you fill it with anything that's not gas, it's not going to run properly. And our bodies are so similar. When we fuel it properly, it runs a lot better. So my husband and I decided to do an experiment where instead of spending very little on groceries and shopping the sales and getting all the sugary cereals and stuff that didn't cost a lot of money and spending a lot of money on medical care, we decided to spend as much money as possible on our diet. And we found that entire year, we did a year-long experiment. We found that year we spent next to nothing in medical costs. My kids weren't having asthma attacks like they used to. My husband wasn't sick all the time. We literally just shifted our budget to food. And that made such a huge impact in our general health. And so that's what kind of spurred the opening of the store. But what I didn't realize is that I had some other nutritional deficiencies going on. And when those deficiencies are paired with stress, it's just kaboom, a huge issue. And so as I opened the store, I started getting more and more stressed. I felt more and more anxious. I was having panic attacks regularly. I couldn't sleep. I was having severe insomnia. And that's where kind of the big light bulb went off for me.
And that light bulb was magnesium.
It sure was, because I was doing everything you're supposed to do. I was living a good, healthy life. I was eating all the right foods, an organic, plant-based diet. I was exercising regularly. I was managing my lifestyle as best as I could. Being an entrepreneur, as you probably know, can be a little stressful and overwhelming.
Oh, yeah.
But I was managing as best so I was checking all the boxes. but I was still having panic attacks. I was still having severe anxiety. I still was sleeping maybe 2 hours a night. And so that's when I started to think, I need help. I can't do this on my own. I need to figure out what's going on.
So where did you get the help?
So I wound up going to my practitioner, and she was gracious enough to offer me every test under the sun. Like, you name it, blood was drawn. And she sent me to a bunch of different specialists. I went from doctor to doctor. And then at the end of the day, she sat down, she looked me straight in the face, and she said, Natalie, there is nothing wrong with you. Your blood work is perfect. And then she went on to tell me that as a woman becomes a certain age, these things happen, yada, yada, yada. It's all in your head. And then wrote me a bunch of prescriptions. And so I didn't want to take the prescriptions. They made me foggy. I felt like like somebody had painted my entire world gray. And I didn't like that feeling. I didn't like that sensation. So that's when I really dove in deep. And I made that decision right then and there that nobody else is going to be allowed to define what is normal for me. So normal for me was feeling calm, cool, and collected. I've always been like a laid back kind of person. And to feel this anxious and for my doctor to say that was normal, it wasn't okay with me. And that's when I decided I've got to find a way to fix this. I've got to figure out what the root cause is. I got to figure out what's going on underneath the surface. And I really dove in deep into the research.
So in your research, did you find, is there a indicator, whether it be in a blood test or in some sort of enzyme level or something like that, where you found that you could actually see that you are deficient in magnesium?
That's a wonderful question. And that's a question I get all the time. How do I know? How do I even know that I'm low in magnesium? So the National Institute of Health has come out to say that there is no valid test for magnesium deficiency that is available to the public today. You see, about 60% of magnesium is stored in your bones. About 40% is in your muscles, organs, and soft tissues, leaving less than 1% in your blood. Now, when we go to our healthcare practitioners and they offer us a test, they're giving us what's called a magnesium serum test, which is looking at our blood. So what happens in our body is if that blood work is low, that means that you have quite possibly been deficient in your bones, organs, and tissues for years before it ever shows up in your blood. So the National Institute of Health has said that the best way to determine magnesium deficiency is to simply look at your symptoms. If you have the insomnia, the racing mind, the overthinking, the muscle cramps, the restless legs, the chronic headaches, the muscle twitching, if you're dealing with those symptoms, then it's very likely that you're magnesium deficient, and you simply have to try it. And if those symptoms go away, then you just solve the problem.
Interesting. So how did you get introduced to magnesium?
So I actually, funny enough, I was at a farmer's market and bumped into a lady. I make friends with everybody around me, right? So I start talking to this much older lady, and somehow it gets around to all the issues that I've been dealing with. And she's like, have you tried magnesium? I'm like, yeah, I've tried every supplement under the sun. Nothing works. She's like, well, have you tried it on your skin? Have you tried spraying your skin or soaking in magnesium? I'm like, no, but I'll try it. Like, at this point, I would stand upside down on my head and say the alphabet backwards if you told me I would actually sleep that night. So I went to a local health food store, bought some magnesium spray, sprayed it all over my skin, and it itched, it irritated, it burned. But oh my goodness, did I sleep. I went from sleeping 2 hours a night to sleeping 6 hours a night in just a week. And for me, that was a huge accomplishment. My anxiety started going away. I noticed I didn't have a panic attack that week. And I thought, what is this? Like, what kind of magic is this? I need to figure out everything there is about this. And the rest is history.
Nice. So you figured it out. Now, do you still have the store?
No, I wound up selling the store. I had, so similar to what my parents did, I had 3 employees that were working for me, and I was still stuck to the store all the time. I had to be there all the time. I was missing out on my kids' games. I was missing out on field trips, school activities. And I thought, no, I'm not going to repeat this pattern. I am breaking this cycle. And I wound up selling the store.
Cyclical. Yeah. And so, well, you know what it did is it must have shown your parents. You went, I see what I learned. I had to go through it myself, but I learned it from you. So, but that's amazing. Now, you had mentioned, and I've been through it myself, but you had mentioned that when you sprayed it on, that it burns and it gets itchy and everything else, and that led you in a certain direction. You want to tell us about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So I thought there's got to be a way to get this magnesium into myself and my children and my families onto all of our skin without it bothering so much. So because at one time I had sprayed my kids with, because I was like, hey, they don't sleep very well either. I sprayed them with magnesium and they screamed like crazy. They did not like the sensation whatsoever. And so I started looking for other options and I found magnesium creams. And when I looked on the market, there was a ton of magnesium creams on Etsy. And it's people that's making it in their kitchen, that kind of thing, selling it on Etsy. But it's different from batch to batch. And when you ask them, hey, how much magnesium in it? Is it a therapeutic dose? Does it meet the clinical standards? They didn't know because they're making it in their kitchen. And the other side of the market was the stuff that you get at your chiropractor's office. So it smells like medicine. It feels really sticky on your skin. It's just an unpleasant experience altogether. So I thought there's got to be a way for us to create something that can replace a habit. I'm a big fan of replacing habits, right? Because if we can replace a habit, then we're going to do it every single day. And for me, a habit is using a moisturizer when I get out of the shower. If you get out of the shower, you put lotion on your skin, you're good to go. So I wanted to create a product that felt like a regular everyday body moisturizer. And so that's what I did. I was told no lots of times. I had a lot of doors slammed in my face because I wanted to make sure that our cream was based off of clinical scientific research, not just a random amount of magnesium, but something that would actually work. And so when I reached out to chemists, of course, this is in 2020 when the world is shut down. Right. So I'm reaching out to chemists and they're saying what you're asking for is impossible. Like we can't put that much magnesium in a cream and make it feel the way you want it to feel. So after 6 different chemists, I finally found one right in my own backyard, right in the St. Petersburg, Clearwater area, who was able to make the formula the way that I wanted it.
Wow. Okay. So now you started this line. It's called Rooted In, correct?
Yep.
And
yep.
you've got a couple of different packages that you use. One is Calm. Oh, you'll have to actually. Why don't you go ahead and tell us about it?
Sure. We created 3 products to address 3 most common problems that we face here. One is our Tranquility Cream, which is wonderful for stress. It's got all sorts of herbs like ashwagandha and rhodiola, which are very calming to the nervous system. We have one called Rest, which is wonderful for sleep, of course. And then our Relief Cream is incredible for pain and soreness, discomfort, joint pain, that kind of thing. So those were the 3 issues that we overall saw that magnesium could address and that people really tend to struggle with the most. And the response has been incredible. We sold out 9 times in the last couple of years, really well received. And more importantly, like it's the messages I get every day from people saying, hey, this actually worked. I didn't know that this would work, that kind of thing. And so it's been really amazing. There's more to that journey than that, but that's just a quick summary of how we got there.
So can I ask, is every magnesium alike? I mean, is magnesium or is there different levels? Because you talk about strength and you said that there are chemists out there that you can't put that much magnesium, but are there different types that what do you use?
Yeah, there's over 14 different forms of magnesium out there, and that's what really confuses people. So what happens is people go, hey, I heard this lady talking about magnesium on a podcast, and then they go to the health food store and they see this giant wall of magnesium with all sorts of different types, and then they're instantly overwhelmed and they have no idea what to get. So that's where it can get really confusing. So we've got 2 different forms. We've got oral magnesium, which is your pills and your powders, and then we have topical magnesium, which goes on your skin, either as a lotion, a spray, or a bath. So when it comes to the oral magnesium, and I'm not going to go over all 14 types because that could really bore people. But a rule of thumb I like to tell people, when you're looking for oral magnesium, just make sure you're staying away from magnesium oxide. Magnesium oxide is the most popular form out there. It's the cheapest form. It's the most recommended by practitioners. And unfortunately, it only absorbs at a rate of about 4%. Which means the other 96% is going to go right through you. And for most people, will have you in the bathroom all day long. So we avoid magnesium oxide. If you just remember that one thing, when you go to the supplement aisle, you're going to be in good hands. The other side, of course, is the topical magnesium. And there's a really popular form of magnesium that people don't realize, and that's Epsom salt. Epsom salt is magnesium sulfate. And every time, it's an old remedy that probably your grandmother had told you about. If you sprain your ankle, go soak it in Epsom salt. Well, they're giving you great advice. Epsom salt is cheap, readily available, and it's something that you can literally get at the grocery store and use it today to start really reaping the benefits of magnesium quickly.
Oh, you don't have to tell me. I come home from if I'm racing a marathon or a triathlon, no, I'm jumping in with Epsom salts. I got a big old bag underneath the friggin' thing, but I never even thought that Epsom salt was Epsom salt. I just know it felt good. I had no idea that it actually was magnesium.
100%. Because your body, especially when you're running, you're racing, you're exercising, your body is expending a huge amount of magnesium. So magnesium depletes as we exercise, it depletes as we sweat because it's involved in, on a cellular level, it's involved with ATP, which is your energy, right? So when you extend that or expend that, and then you replenish it afterwards, it's such an incredible feeling when you're taking those magnesium baths. The only thing I would recommend is when you're taking those magnesium baths, add a little bit of baking soda to the water. The bicarbonate in that will bind to the magnesium and get it into your cells a lot faster.
Oh, excellent. And actually, I'm working on, somebody was talking about sodium bicarbonate, which is interesting because just a little off topic here, but there, a lot of my speedier friends have mentioned having sodium bicarbonate before they, along like a hard run or a hard workout. And they said it just helps so much. The problem is that to get it into a form that's digestible is expensive. It's like they're talking about it's $15, $16 per dose. And then when you ask them, but then when I tell you, then you like said, what's sodium bicarbonate? It's baking powder. But you can't ingest it in that raw form because it'll tear your stomach up. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. So you've got this. So how, it's not actually a good question. Edit that part out. But you're rooted in, when did you said you started it in 2020?
Yep. We started it. We got it manufactured up and running in about late 2021 is when we first started shipping orders.
So can I ask, where do you get stuff like this manufactured? I mean, I see it all happen. People always talk to me, hey, I tried this. It worked out. We got it manufactured. But they never tell me how that whole process works.
It's a long, complicated process. It's finding we use a manufacturer right in Florida, right in our own backyard. Like the chemists that I worked with span from the UK to Utah. And here, right in my own backyard, I found a chemist that knew what they were doing and were just incredible at manufacturing our formula for us. So it is our own formula. They can only manufacture it for us, but they do it right in what's called a GMP certified facility. It's also an organic certified facility. And they have this really cool setup with all these machines and stuff like that. And they mix everything and bottle it and get it all done for us.
Oh, great. So you basically put it out there. But I did see on your website that when you first started, you actually had to put it in the garage.
Oh my gosh. We had to store our whole house. We had boxes of cream all over our house, and we literally had to build our garage into an office and storage area. And so I had my kids painting walls. It was just chaos. Now we have a fulfillment center that ships our orders, but for a while there, it was chaos.
How long was that till you realized that it was successful enough that you can now move it into a fulfillment center?
So it's funny because I started off just going on TikTok, and here I am like a 40-something-year-old woman on TikTok, and that's the app for teenagers who dance, right? That's what they say. It's TikTok is not for us experienced people. Let's call us, I'm going to call myself experienced for experienced people. So here I am, a 40-year-old on TikTok, and I loved just the raw, just spreading of information that TikTok had. It was so different from all the other apps where everybody had to be very polished and very beautiful and perfect and that kind of thing. So I went on TikTok and just started sharing the research. Like, hey, I learned this about magnesium. Hey, this also happens about magnesium. And it started to catch on. It really spread like wildfire until we grew a really significant audience on TikTok. And I totally did not expect that to happen. But I also feel like being your most authentic self is what really connects with people. When I first got on the app, I tried to be very polished and professional. And I was like, this isn't me. I'm a science nerd and I'm just going to be a science nerd. And when I started doing that, people really resonated with it. So before we launched, I had built a really big following of people who wanted magnesium in their life. They wanted an easy way to get magnesium that didn't require taking a bunch of pills all day long. And so when we launched, we had an instant audience and we really skyrocketed pretty quickly.
Wow. All right. Well, I've heard that the stories about businesses that used when it first started out, when it really started to get big, that like us, right? And I thought the same thing. Matter of fact, I just recently realized that TikTok, there might be an audience there because I thought the exact same thing. It's just people that are dancing and stuff. And there's still those kids out there that are making up dances that are going all over the world and still doing it out there. But I have heard of numerous businesses that started TikTok accounts and grew a following, which actually in this day and age right now, where they're still talking about the banning here in the States, they're like, hey, you know what, my whole audience, I'll go out of business because TikTok has got such a huge following that they use it for. So that's a great freaking case study. That's amazing. And now are you still like doing most of your advertising on TikTok, or have you moved it to the other platforms, or have you gone in different ways?
So yeah, we still do a lot on TikTok just because I truly love the educational portion. Like I love to spread knowledge, not so that people buy our product. I've had people reach out to me and say, hey, I bought this pill. It worked really great for me. Thank you so much for suggesting magnesium. I'm like, awesome. I helped somebody. And that's what really matters to me, of course, right? At the end of the day, it's what I want to do. So I really still enjoy connecting with people on TikTok, but we have diversified to other platforms. Of course, we're on Instagram. We're about to launch on Amazon in August. So we're really excited about that as well. Well, fingers crossed everything works out well there. But so, and of course, directly through our own website, we do a lot of free educational content for people so they can download it right from our website. We have things like a magnesium cheat sheet where people can print it out and take it with them to the health food store so they can figure out what form of those 14 are going to be best for their own unique needs. So we do a lot of just getting out there in front of people and just educating around magnesium.
Well, that is the true sign of someone that wants to help other people, is the fact that you've got your own form of magnesium that you are selling online, but yet you're giving out resources to go to the health food store in case they want something in a different form.
100%.
So,
yeah.
So you literally are, go to my website, but here's the resources. So if you don't even want to try it, that you can go to resources. At least you're getting your magnesium. I love that.
Absolutely. That's what I always preach about Epsom salt. I always preach about all the great different forms about magnesium because there are so many other ways to get magnesium into your body. This is one of them. If you choose to go that path, awesome, more power to you. We'd love for you to buy our product. But if you choose to go through another path and you're still helped by magnesium, it's the nonprofit person for me, inside of me that I want to help the world.
Yeah, no, and we need people like you out there. Definitely. We need more capitalism that is rooted in selflessness. And basically is if you're helping out other people, the more you help, the more you'll get back in return. And they say a lot of people say you'll get it back in threes. It just doesn't come on threes all right away. So speaking of rooted in, Natalie's business is called Rooted In, and her website is berootedin.com. And I'll have a link to that in the show notes. She has those 3 different bundles that she talked about, and starter set, and then she's got a learn section on here. It's pretty amazing, and you'll have to check her out. She's got this little TikTok thing that she put up there on YouTube, which kind of tells her story in a rapid 2.5 minutes. So check that out definitely, and tell us. Put it in the show notes. Comment on the episode, whether you see it on YouTube or whether you see a clip on social media. Tell us that maybe you grabbed it and that how you're feeling. So we'd be really excited to hear that. So yeah. So Natalie, thank you. This has been super educational, and I want to know more. I want to continue to know more. So I'm probably going to take a look at your learn section. And if I've got any questions, I'm going to make sure that I reach out to you. You mentioned TikTok. You mentioned Instagram. Are those the 2 best places that people can slide into your DMs and ask questions?
Yep, absolutely. And we're Be Rooted In across all social media platforms. So, but TikTok is my most views. And then, of course, Instagram as well.
Excellent. Excellent. So, Natalie, thank you. Thank you so much for everything that you do. Thank you for being as selfless as you are. My best to your family. And then I hope that you continue this success that's rooted in helping people. So thank you so much.
Thank you for having me on, and thanks for everything that you do to really encourage people to overcome adversity in their lives.
I appreciate that. Thank you. All right, everybody, you heard it. For Natalie and myself, we will see you in the next one.